Elon Musk's next compensation plan has been unveiled, and the question is, are you going to vote for it? We're going to have a quick chat about what's in it, what's to like, what's not to like, and whether you're going to vote for it or not. I've actually heard people say that they will not vote for it. People, I should add, who I am confident do not own more than a single share. One share, they can say, I did cast a vote, here's proof. But 2 shares, I'm going to need to see proof of it because you are not credible. But I do have someone credible to join me in this because I'm going to be taking the position of vote no. I will be playing devil's advocate because somebody's got to advocate for the devil. And I guess today that's me. So Randy Kirk stepping in, I believe, Team Jesus. We'll find out. Everybody else, let's get started. I'm Brian. Welcome.
The opposite of it. Devil is an angel, so this would be Team Angel.
Oh, right.
Gotcha. I'm way more like an angel than I am like Jesus. That's for sure.
Well, isn't the devil just a fallen angel? So I guess I will be the fallen angel's advocate.
There you go.
I think we're getting really detached from the subject matter, but that's kind of okay, I suppose. Yeah. Hey, did you know that this fella named Elon something or other has an employment at Tesla? And I'm going to say I didn't know because he hasn't been paid. So
not for a decade.
You know, it's like Kramer on Seinfeld. They're like, Kramer, we have to let you go. He goes, but I don't even work here. They go, that's why this is so difficult. But yeah, you got to fire him at some point.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is, first, let's talk about what the plan actually is. Why don't you give us an overview of the plan, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, Elon Musk can make money if he doubles. He can make some money if he just doubles the amount of the current market cap as we stand now and does one of a bunch of other things. He could sell a million humanoid robots. He could sell a million robotaxi vehicles, not sell, but
deploy,
have in process, have out there in the world a million robotaxis. He could sell 10 million cars, which probably is maybe the easiest because that includes robotaxis in the fleet that's specifically included in it. So, 2.5 million cars for 4 years, he'd be there. All right. And then the fourth one was and then there's a whole bunch of different ways he can do it in terms of the profit per year. But those have to be over time. It can't be just like one quarter is great and then the next quarter is not. So those are some of the ways he can get there. Mm-hmm. And he get to one tranche, which would be 1%. 1% of the stock.
Right. So we're looking at the previous compensation plan was something like 10x the company, you get 10% of the company.
Right.
This plan is more like 8x the company, get 12%, which is a little bit more generous. Is it generous enough to say vote no? Perhaps. We'll discuss it. Here's a question for you, though. The milestones include things like the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA.
Yes.
Why are we using that instead of earnings per share?
Well, that is just one of the earnings per share numbers that people use. So It can be EBITDA, or it can be earnings per share that does include taxes and interest. And so there's a bunch of different ways that people look at them. EBITDA is the one that the markets use. That's the one that they are most interested in.
So it's probably a market-driven metric.
Yeah, probably. I would say, in my experience, over 60 years of playing the stock market, it's the one that everybody cares about.
Okay. Why market cap instead of share price?
Well, market cap is derived by multiplying the share price times the PE. And so you're looking at it.
No, market cap is share price times outstanding shares.
Times outstanding shares. Right. I'm sorry. So market cap is the multiple of the
Oh, I see. What you're saying is because if we go by share price, that could be impacted by using shares to purchase another company, for example, which may or may not even increase the value. Okay.
So if you have a share price today of $100,
Mhm.
well, right now, let's say it's 333, then the market cap is you multiply the PE times that. So right now the PE is running about 180 or something, and you get to your 1.1 trillion,
Right?
right?
Yes,
Am I doing it right?
I think so.
If not,
Yes. Yeah.
if not,
No,
just
no.
edit
uh, no, no. I
it. No.
would definitely leave it in and then make a music video out of that part of it. But
Okay.
the concern there is about dilution, but we'll get to that separately. Here we go. I'm ready to fight you. You ready?
Okay. 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 All right.
So on the 20 million cars, it's not 10 million that they need. It's more like 12. So it's a little higher than you said, because I think we're only at 8 million cars right now.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so that's a loftier than you're not, but
Yes.
20,
I'm sorry. I did forget. Yeah, that's
but
true.
20 million is
20 million.
too low. We thought we'd be at 20 million a year. Now it's 20 million per ever. It's too low.
Okay. So everything changed.
Hmm.
Now again, I'm gonna stipulate that I think the 12 million additional cars, changing what I said earlier,
Hmm.
the 12 million additional cars is an easy get in my opinion, because it would be, let's call it 3 million cars a year for 4 years, and it counts those that go into the fleet, the
Hmm.
robotaxi fleet. So I don't think that this is going to be a hard thing for him to do. And the reason why we should be perfectly thrilled with that is because the future, the way Elon is seeing it, and the way I've been seeing it for a very long time, is that we're going to be cutting off the number of cars that are sold maybe by as much as 80%. So if we're selling 80 million cars a year in the world right now, we could be cutting that down to 20 million cars per year total, because every robotaxi out there, every robocab out there, every one of these vehicles that is being used as ride hail, they're worth 5 cars at least, and maybe 7,
Hmm.
because they will be in operation 5 times to 7 times as much of every given day.
So what I would add to that is one objective to a plan like this is to avoid perverse incentives. If the plan said, look, here's the only metric, sell 100 million cars. Elon could say, well, I could game that. Let's just make all the cars 10,000 at no margin and flood the world with cars that aren't even worth 10,000 because they're garbage. And does that help or does it hinder? I would argue that hinders. I would say that by flooding the world with ultra cheap cars, they wouldn't have the safety, they wouldn't have the autonomy, they certainly wouldn't have the revenue potential. So this is more about quality over quantity. Is that reasonable?
I think that's reasonable, but I still fall back on my analysis more, because most people are not taking into consideration that if we do move in, if you believe, it's kind of what you believe. Elon, we can be pretty sure, believes, maybe I'm wrong about 2029, maybe it's 2031, maybe it's 2033. There's going to come a point at which the vast majority of all vehicles on the road are going to be ride hail of one kind or another. And to the extent that that's true, General Motors and Ford and anybody else that's not making ride hail vehicles are out of business, because there's just not enough vehicles needed to be manufactured in a given year to keep them in business.
Mm. I don't see that happening in the next 5 to 10 years, but I understand there are people who do. And like you said, it is about belief. Uh, I know people who think that any day now, car ownership as a concept will end. I strongly disagree with that. Um, I'm not convinced. I'm still ready to vote no. Here's the next one. You ready?
Yeah.
Uh, 10 million cars on FSD. That's not tied to any particular revenue. When the fleet hits 10, 11, 12 million, he could just say, look, it's free now. Boom, I get my tranche.
Yeah, well, so that's a possibility. I don't see it as a strong possibility,
I don't
because
either, but
I,
but it
I
is.
think, but I,
Hey,
but I,
we've only
but
got so much to work with here.
well, okay, no, but I agree. That's a possibility I hadn't even thought of. I think that there's a name for this law, and I'm not going to remember what it was, even though I saw it yesterday. I think, in fact, Grok told me about it yesterday as part of a thing I was asking. Anyway, there's a law especially when you get into the law of large numbers, where maybe you sell 10 million of these FSDs at $100 a month are at $8,000 a piece. But then all of a sudden, you can sell 100 million if you drop the price to $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, you're making more money by selling
Mm-hmm.
100 million than you are selling them 10 million. So yes, you may see the price come down, but only because you know you'll make it up in terms of profit by selling more.
Sure.
I've never seen any part of Elon that would sell something under market in order to gain some advantage in his pay package or something. It doesn't seem to be part of his personality.
I mean, is last I checked money. Is that law by any chance the called Coles?
Might be. Sounds familiar.
No, wait. Coleslaw is
Oh
cabbage
no.
with vinegar and mayonnaise. Never mind. So let's see. Another one, Randy. Stay with me.
I'm trying to go back.
A million bots. A million bots. Come on, that's too low.
100% agree. I was so shocked when it was only a million bots, and same thing for robotaxi. A million vehicles in the robotaxi world. Yeah, so I'm looking at those as if you can do a million, then the market will decide how many you're going to do. So if I can build it, sell a million of them, that means the market loves them. That's a lot of vehicle. That's a lot of product. And then if the market says no, because we don't want to have these people in our life, we don't want to have these humanoid bots in our life. The government comes and says, no,
Sure.
forget it. I'm not going to do it. But if they work and they produce and they create value, then once you've got a million of them, it's game
Right.
on.
And that with robotaxi, also a million robotaxi, that's not enough. So on that, well, what could make society say no to robots? Well, there's 100 companies building them. What if one of them somewhere goes on a killing spree? I could see governments restricting them. I could see societies rejecting them.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be, beyond his control. So I think it'd be important to not deal with something as silly as that. So what I'm looking at is, and I agree, if you can do a million, you can do any number.
Right.
You're beyond proof of concept. If I said, no, the first tranche is at 500, you could call your friends and just tell them to buy 500. That doesn't mean you have a viable product. And yeah, there's the scalability from there. And the same with a million. Let's look at both of those million. And we discussed this on your channel, I think today. How many robots, humanoid robots, have been sold worldwide by all companies forever?
We agreed, I think, on the previous program that it's in the ballpark of 1,000.
Probably about 1,000. Maybe it's certainly not 10,000.
No.
So that means we are off by 4 orders of magnitude.
Right.
So all Tesla needs to do, and this is so easy, this number is so easy, is sell 1,000 times more of something than every company before them combined.
Right.
Now another company might reach 2 million or 10 million, but I can't control what the competition does. I don't work for them. And the same with the cybercabs. How many? I don't know the number in China, but in the US, the number of non-Tesla robotaxis is what, 1,000?
Well, you've got, if you're talking Waymo's got a couple of thousand now.
Okay.
I think you're right at 2,000. And then you've got a few of these other car companies that have a few. Yeah.
So we're under 3,000 in the US.
In the US, yeah.
And so great. You only need to make 300 times more than all of them combined ever. Okay, easy.
Yep.
Super easy. Here's a good one I saw. This is a valid one. Wouldn't he do it for a third of the price?
Wouldn't he do it for a third of the price? Well,
the money's no object, Randy.
Yeah. Well, again,
why pay him so much?
We're not actually paying him any money. So this has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with the shares. Now, you pointed out they could have offered a different kind of stock, a different class of stock, Class B, and that stock could have been worth a differing amount. I have no idea why they chose to take this restricted stock, approach. But the key is percentage of voting shares, and quite frankly, the value of the stock on the day that he buys them, because he's going to have to buy them. On the day that he buys them, the value of the stock will be determined by the value, by what the stockholders, by the market is paying for it at that moment. So it could be a really bad day. In fact, he might wait for a really bad day, and it might not be worth $1 trillion at all. It might be worth half a trillion. It might be a recession or some kind of a problem in the country. So he might go, "Hey, this is a great day to buy them," and everybody go, "Well, but it's only half a trillion." Oh, I didn't get paid $1 trillion. I only get paid half a trillion. Yeah, but 8 months from now, it's back up to $1 trillion again.
So
the other way. It could go the other way. It could be worth $2 trillion, and he's like, "I don't think it's ever going back down. So I've got to exercise now at $2 trillion."
I just think that no matter what, there's going to be criticism. This dollar figure is certainly painting a target on your own back. I think if it was, even a tenth of that, it would still be a target. If it was $100 billion, but with 10x voting rights. And I don't know. So we discussed this a bit on your show. Why no mention of stationary storage or semi?
Yeah, so I'll add solar power, because I think he's going to announce, as you well know, I think he's going to announce a giga solar factory, and there's a real possibility that a combination of megapack solar and selling electricity at wholesale or retail around the world could become as big as some of these other categories by far, or maybe bigger than some of these other categories. So why no mention of those other categories? You had a great reason, and it was so great I don't remember what it was now. You said focus, I think. The focus.
I said that Megapack is on autopilot.
On autopilot, right. And
if you set up goals to grow artificially just to hit artificial targets, you may not be optimizing. And if you say, well, no, then make it revenue based or make it margin based, well, then you may be missing out on market because you're chasing margin. And I just feel like Megapack's on autopilot. Did I miss anything on that?
I don't think so. And I'd be more interested in the story on semi, which we didn't talk about in my show, because semi, we've had, Brian Wong and others, Cern Basher, and actually me a year ago, talking about the massive potential if we get to even 1 million semi trucks, which is Brian Wong's low number. He thinks it'll be 4 million a year sold. And if those are sold and or if they're leased, or if they're put into service as a trucking company, the profits would be almost like the labor profits from Optimus. So I am a little surprised not to see. I've always been surprised that we haven't gotten any kind of estimates of the future sales of semi. Beyond the one factory at 40 to 50,000.
And even that, we're getting very limited information. It's very frustrating.
Right.
I don't know. I think the answer on semi is it's such a small part of the business that and it's going to do what it's going to do. I don't think it deserves his attention in ways that warrant financial milestones. And if you want to be a real technical smart aleck, you could say, well, the FSD that goes on semis does count, which it does. Yeah. And the unit sold does count towards the 20 million, which it does, just not meaningfully, because even if they ramp production quickly, it's going to be not big numbers. Small.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's a valid one. Yep.
I thought they should have put in Cybertruck, though, as a separate thing. If you don't sell 1 million Cybertrucks, this is how the deal's off.
That would create perverse incentives. That would be like in the 80s when Yugos were already out of fashion, and there was a car dealer in Federal Way, Washington, who said, "Come in and buy a Cadillac, I'll give you a Yugo for free." Might have even been Cal Worthington.
Cal
Uh,
Worthing.
yeah, I'll stand on my head to sell you a car. I'll kiss
That's
this monkey.
yeah.
The dilution is too high.
The dilution is too high. I don't even care.
Let me clear this up. I saw a comment that said this doesn't help because every time the market cap expands, he gets all those shares and it's equal. I'm like, it's not equal.
Not
It's not
equal.
equal
Yes.
because yeah,
This would be like almost everybody that I've ever known that has never studied, that doesn't know anything about math goes, oh, if I earn more, I'll pay more taxes.
yeah, yeah. I worked in a restaurant where one of the cooks, the manager had convinced the cook, you don't want me to give you a raise. If I give you a raise, you'll take home less. And the cook was convinced. He was trying to explain it to me. I'm like, yeah, that's just not how you are being lied to. He's like, no, it is. It is. I'm like,
Yeah, the other analogy I used on my show the other day is as an employer, and I've employed thousands, not at one time. 110 was probably my maximum, but I've employed thousands over the years. And the number one job that I loved signing the paycheck for, salespeople, because
yeah,
as soon as I give them their 10%, give them their 15%, give them their 8%, whatever the number was, because whatever that was, I just made 90% if they made 10%.
yeah. Well, that was a problem when Circuit City was going through reorganization as they brought in some consulting firm and they said, "Oh my gosh, do you realize you have sales associates on the floor who are making like $30 an hour? Get rid of them." So that's the first thing they did was they axed everybody who knew how to sell. And they're like, "Huh, that's weird. Sales bottomed out. Now we're really in trouble. Good job." So on the dilution front, uh, every time the company goes up in value by a trillion or $1 trillion,
Right.
8%, 16% of it gets added as shares for him.
Yeah.
That's not a consequential amount. And what I would point out is this is market cap driven. So if you assign those shares to Elon and that dilutes, that makes it that much harder for him to hit the next milestone and the next one, because I mean that's just how it works. And if you think there's some house of cards that's going to keep building, great, build right into it and sell at what you determine is the high. But that's crazy. There is one more. There is one more that I will have to mention. But first, I wanted to say that there is one that I can't argue. Those EBITDA numbers get really, really high, unfathomably high. Do you remember what the highest one is in order for Elon to unlock the final tranche?
$400 billion a year.
I think it's 450.
450, is it?
400. It's either 400 or 400. I think it's $450 billion. So Tesla would need to earn over $1 billion a day, like $1 billion a day in profit to unlock that. You're not going to pay the guy. That tranche is only worth 85, 90 days of that profit. And it's not paid out of that profit. It's paid out of the shareholders. Okay. So I find that beyond reproach. Am I missing something?
Yes. So $400 billion a year sounds massive, or it did 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Apple was around 100 billion, and they've been around 100 billion for years. They kept on, selling off, or giving money back. So 100 billion seemed like the number. It seemed like, boy, nobody will ever beat Apple's 100 billion. Well, all of a sudden, Nvidia has beat it, Microsoft has beat it, all these companies are beating it, and now Apple's beating it. And so now 400 billion is kind of like, wow, that will be massive, and you will have done it faster than anybody else to get to, if you get to their number, and then if you double their number, great. But it's now in play. It's not
Mm-hmm.
nuts anymore.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say thank you to everybody who supports the channel. We have one more issue, one more reason to vote no, and then the conclusion. But I wanted to take a second to say thank you to all the folks who support me on Patreon, on YouTube as a channel member, on X as a subscriber. It is how I'm able to go on adventures and spend so much time reading and researching. Final reason, Randy, I don't like him.
Oh, well, there is that. I would buy another stock.
They already did. I'm
Buy it.
telling you, they already did. If you really don't like him, I'm confident you're already out. But here's a more realistic one: is how many of these would they hit without him?
Oh yeah, that's a
You
good one.
replace him with a Tim Cook
Yeah.
type.
Look. I have said it before. I said it this week to Larry. I think on Friday night, or maybe it was anyway. If you could put a Tim Cook in there right now, and the company would do fine for a few years. It would not. I'd say there's a very good chance that the robot thing would be so-so, if anything. I think there's a really good chance that the robotaxi rollout would be so-so, but you might sell, you just sell a lot more, and maybe the energy thing would even do better. Maybe the semi trucks would do better. Maybe they would really do the fleet thing with both of those, so they're making all the money. They're going, all the way to the consumer with that. So there's a whole bunch of things that maybe would be done in order to maximize profits, maximize revenues in the near term, meaning 10, 20 years. Elon's not thinking that way. Elon's thoughts are, what's this going to look like 40 years from now? And he's thinking about what can I do to save America? What can I do to make things amazing worldwide? How can I make a world where everybody has plenty? That's what's on his mind. And as long as that's what's on his mind, then he's going to be driven by the best possible return on invested capital, which is the way founders think. And that's going to mean robotaxi is going to get done, Optimus is going to get done, and new things that we haven't even dreamed of yet are going to get done.
Okay, so here's my conclusion. I hope you're ready, because I am going to vote no, because I know that someone who could do almost the same job for about $100, and it's me. So, guys, vote Brian for new CEO. What could go wrong? That's my official strategy, is what could go wrong. And don't worry, people will answer at length all the things that could go wrong, and they're right. But it's $100. What do you got to lose apart from your retirement? Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Head over to Randy's channel. Find out what he's up to. He's got a new book coming out with some pretty exciting authors. We will be sharing more about that in the days to come. And everybody else, to your right. That way. Everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when Randy figures out his righty from his lefty.